Imagine you are 5 years old. Tomorrow is the first day of kindergarten and you can't wait. Your first school backpack is already packed and ready to go by the front door. You already know what you're going to wear, and those new shoes you got are going to work great with all the friends you're going to meet. Learning is going to be so much fun and you are going to do great. Fast forward 4 years. You are now 9 years old. Tomorrow is the first day of the 4th grade and you feel sick to your stomach. Where did the summer go? You still need to get your backpack packed and find something to wear. But what's the rush, right? It's not as if it's going to make a difference. You know that no matter what you do or how hard you try, this year is going to be like every year, full of bad grades, frustrated teachers, angry parents, and no new friends. Learning is going to be so hard, and you are going to do bad as usual. The child in this illustration is my son, and because his teachers and I were uneducated on the topic, he was not diagnosed with ADHD until he was 9. The difficulties experienced by my son while in school is what inspired me to become a teacher, as well as why I stand here before you today. Research suggests that educators can foster greater success for children with ADHD when they are more informed about the disorder's symptoms and educational strategies designed to deal with the difficulties associated with it. Because better recognition of its symptoms leads to an improved evaluation of children's specific educational needs, and better educational strategies equal an environment more conducive to learning. Because teachers oftentimes initiate referrals to school principals so that certain children can be considered for special education testing, I would first like to briefly explain what ADHD is and familiarize you with its symptoms. Then I'd like to describe how the difficulties associated with ADHD affect children in the classroom. And finally, I'd like to offer you some educational strategies that will help you with your students achieve greater learning success. First, let me tell you about the disorder itself, and I'd also like to describe its symptoms. What is ADHD? ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder. ADHD can be expressed as a chronically recurring pattern of inattention with or without hyperactivity and impulsivity. It interferes with daily life and also normal development. People with ADHD can also have problems maintaining focus and executive function deficits. According to Russell Barkley, PhD, a leading researcher on ADHD, executive functions are the actions of the brain that aid in bringing about self-control, behavior that is goal-directed, and the improvement of future results. Okay, now that I've talked a little about what ADHD is, I'd like to describe its symptoms. I'd like to direct your attention to the visual aid, which displays the 3 presentations of ADHD and its symptoms. According to the organization CHADD, there are 3 presentations of ADHD, each associated with different symptoms: inattentive, hyperactive impulsive, and combined inattentive and hyperactive impulsive. The symptoms of ADHD with inattentive presentation are as follows. The student is not attentive to details and makes careless mistakes. The student has trouble in maintaining attention. The student appears not to listen. The student has a hard time following through on instructions. The student has trouble with organization. The student shirks or has an aversion to tasks requiring a lot of thinking. The student misplaces things. The student is easily distracted. The student is also easily sidetracked. The student forgets about daily activities. The symptoms of ADHD with hyperactive impulsive presentation are as follows. The student is fidgety with their hands and feet or struggles to sit still in a chair. The student has trouble staying seated. The student excessively runs around or climbs. The student has trouble engaging in quiet activities. The student appears as if driven by a motor. The student is excessively talkative. The student bursts out answers before questions can be completely asked. The student has trouble waiting for or taking turns. The student often interrupts or infringes upon others. The symptoms of ADHD with combined inattentive and hyperactive impulse presentations are as follows. The student experiences symptoms from both of the previous presentations. Now that I've explained a little bit about what ADHD is and described its symptoms, let's move on to my second main point about how the difficulties associated with ADHD affect children in the classroom, as well as some learning strategies that will help these children ensure greater learning success. So how are children with ADHD affected in the classroom? As I mentioned earlier, children with ADHD can have problems maintaining focus and executive function deficits. Maintaining focus is a huge challenge for children with ADHD. A large number of these children describe how they are constantly distracted by images, sounds, and thoughts which constantly stir in their heads. These distractions make it almost impossible for these children to stay focused and on task in the classroom. Additionally, when one of the executive functions, known as working memory, is affected, children with ADHD can experience substantial problems in the classroom with tasks such as remembering and following instructions, memorizing facts, performing mental computations in their head, examining or altering their own behavior, time management, and preparing for the future. Okay, so now that we've looked at some of the ways in which these children are affected by ADHD in the classroom, let's talk about some learning strategies that teachers can use to help them. I'd like to draw your attention to the visual aid, which displays some suggested learning strategies offered by CHADD and the American Academy of Pediatrics. These show some of the things that teachers can do in the classroom to help these students with ADHD. Some of the suggested learning strategies include the following. Display clear classroom rules. Provide clear and concise instructions for assignments. Break complex instructions into small parts. Show students how to use an assignment book to keep track of their homework and daily assignments. Plan a daily schedule and homework assignments in the same place each day. Plan academic subjects for the morning hours. Provide regular and frequent breaks. Seat the child away from distractions and next to children who will be good role models. Form small group settings when possible. Find a quiet spot in the classroom where students can go to do their work away from distractions. Train the students to recognize begin work cues. Establish a secret signal with the child to use as a reminder when he or she is off task. Use 5-minute warning cues before transitions. Focus on a specific behavior you wish to improve and reinforce it. offer more positive reinforcements than negative consequences. Explain to the students what to do to avoid negative consequences. Reward target behaviors immediately and continuously. Deliver negative consequences in a firm, business-like way without emotion or long-winded lectures. And here is the reference page for all of the citations. In conclusion, better recognition of the symptoms of ADHD leads to an improved evaluation of children's specific educational needs, and better educational strategies equal an environment more conducive to learning. Together, these points support my position that educators can foster greater success for children with ADHD when they are more informed about the disorder's symptoms and educational strategies designed to deal with the difficulties associated with it. To summarize, first, I briefly explained what ADHD is and familiarized you with its symptoms. Then I described how the difficulties associated with ADHD affect children in the classroom. And finally, I offered some educational strategies that help you assist your students with ADHD and achieve greater success in learning. You know, when I think back to the time when my son was in elementary school, I remember his teachers and I telling him how very smart he was and how much better he could do in school if he would only try. I now see how ridiculous that was. Imagine telling a child with impaired eyesight that if they just strained harder to see, they could read a book. Had we been able to recognize the symptoms of ADHD and understand its impact on learning in the classroom, we would have understood why school was so hard for him and how to help him achieve better success in the classroom sooner. Because the reality is, children with ADHD try really hard. Since one well-informed teacher can make all the difference in the education of a child with ADHD, it is my hope that the information I've presented here today can assist you as you endeavor to help any student trying to overcome learning difficulties associated with the disorder. Thank you.